welcome to Impact Wrestling, a show that will piss you off but still entertain you way more than WWE. That's this. Let's be honest, that's the truth. We get more from Impact than we get from WWE. I gotta say this. Shelton Benjamin, Bobby Lashley, the MVP, as well as Cedric Alexander has been one of the most entertaining things WWE's had. And now they broke it up. Possibly to give either two things. One, a face turn for a Shelton Benjamin to go up against a Bobby Lashley if he retains his title, which will make no sense. Like that. Because now he's become a chicken shit heel. Or they just broke them up because they broke them up because Vince got tired of the Hurt Business, which has been the entertaining thing of Raw. I just had to say that. Hood Rats versus Nevaeh and Havoc. Look, I've said this before and I said it again. What is the point? Actually, wait, before I get this. It's time for the botch shots. I think I might use that as a title for the camera shots that were botched. I have 20 of them. You're seeing them right now. You actually been seeing them. If I'm right, it's done now because I only let it go so far. I had to go through those shots because, look, if I got to put up with it as a wrestling reviewer who couldn't get the shots, and then as a fan second who couldn't even see the shots, because as a fan I want to watch what's going on and I haven't been able to, it makes me mad. So you get to see what I saw, especially some of it showing ass and backs and really close-up faces like this. That was beyond stupid. Why do you let cameramen zoom in this close like this? For what reason on this green freaking earth? Now I'm moving on. Was the match between the Hood Rats and Nevaeh and Havoc good? No. Because I still can't believe Tasha Steele and Kiera Hogan were whooping the ass of a Havoc. I'm sorry. I like Tasha Steele. I love me some Kiera Hogan. Yes, she's a lesbian. I don't give a damn. I still love that piece of ass. But I can't buy these two women whipping a Havoc's butt so easily in most cases of that match. I'm sorry. It looked so badly done. They won, the Hood Rats. And then finally we get the heel turn or just rage from Nevaeh blaming Havoc because she kept saying Havoc is the one that kept failing. I'm glad to see it happened, but it's a bit late. If you were doing the camp, if you had her gone away for a week, come back, do nothing with her, stretch it out when it shouldn't have been stretched out. It could have been ended. I don't agree with it. Now, mind you, other people are going to say it had the right length of time. Now, maybe it's because I already saw this coming and I saw how it was being booked in. Honestly, it could have been done sooner because then we would have something more well built for Rebellion. Because that's where I'm seeing it. You guys can tell me below, was the length of Nevaeh taking her time before she finally turned on Havoc the best time? Or you're in my camp, where they should have done it earlier so they could start building up their feud so it would culminate not in hardcore justice, but Rebellion. And make it mean something, because it doesn't really feel like it's going to mean anything for the next couple of weeks, because I think they're going to rush it. Moving on. Sammy versus Larry D. Now, here's the thing that got me pissed. You already saw the camera shots. Sammy did a really nice Death Valley driver off the top turnbuckle, and we could not see it. You could tell he did it, but you couldn't see it. And I think that was one of the best moves that he did during that match. That pissed my ass off. Breathe. I'm not ranting. I'm going to try not to rant. Was it a good match? Yes, Larry D had some good chemistry with Sammy, and it was a fresh match. We don't usually see Larry D do singles, and we don't see him go up against Sammy. It actually was a nice change-up. Sammy won the match, which I wasn't surprised, and Trey did not come out, which made Sammy happy. We had the segment afterward. You are getting this. Sammy Callahan, a guy who he said himself, I've been holding down Impact for 4 years, which he has, is in a storyline with Trey Miguel where he's trying to get him over. Where, to be honest, and I like Trey Miguel, I really do. Why isn't he in the main title scene? And I'm talking about Sammy. He needs to be in the main title scene. They need to rebuild Sammy. And I'm not saying because I'm a fan, because I am. But after everything that he went through with Tessa Blanchard, wouldn't it make sense to start rebuilding the man to go back into the main title scene where maybe he might be going up against Kenny Omega to get the title back? If it's not Moose? Because I'm seeing it from a long-term perspective. Once Kenny gets that title, where are they going? If Moose is the only one, I can understand it. I agree with it. It should go there. But if they don't have a plan, how they want to book going forward and who they want to go up against, Sammy Callahan would be a great candidate. Breathe. Sammy Callahan should be a great candidate for that, but he's not because they've done nothing with him. He's now working with Trey Miguel, which I do like Trey, and it's good to see that he is working with him. He wants to make him his protege, as he said. He wants to mentor him because he sees the passion. He knows he can do it. And now next week he's trying to set up a match between XXXL and him and Trey. Is this about trying to new... You see I'm getting frustrated here. Is this about tag teams? Is this about Trey and Sammy becoming tag team champs and trying to get the titles from FinJuice? I don't think so. Because FinJuice, they just had a segment. They just showed New Japan Pro Wrestling promo. They showed their titles. Then you got... What you had... I love me Don Callis. I love me when Don is working with Kenny and the Good Brothers in backstage. It's not bad. They do good work. But then where do you think they're going to go with this when it comes to the Good Brothers? Are they getting the titles back? Will this be about Trey and Sammy Callahan? It's all up in the air. Now, many people say that's good, but not before a month of Rebellion. You're going into Hardcore Justice, where some of that will lead into Rebellion. I don't see anything good for Hardcore Justice. I don't see anything good for Rebellion yet. I kind of hope they would give more than a couple of months a build, other than... Calm down. This is frustrating me. Because, as you can see later, you got Don dealing with Willie Mack and Rich. And Willie being bothered because Don wants to show him the one-winged... the one-winged... I don't know why I'm messing up winged angel. 8 times done. I think maybe it's because I'm tired. I haven't slept yet. I have been up since 5 this morning. Haven't slept yet. You see what happens when you have insomnia? You don't sleep. You stay up. And it's almost 11 at night and I haven't slept yet. But seeing that Willie was being harassed, seeing that Rich was making it clear to Don that if you weren't an executive, I'll whoop your ass. And he says, I'm taking off the shades. I'm not an executive trying to whoop my ass. And then Kenny whoops his ass along with the Good Brothers. And then you get Eddie Edwards coming in. And now they're going to have a match next week. That's a reflection of not Rebellion, but Hard to Kill. But this time no Moose. And where is Moose? What happened to Moose? You guys tell me what you think's going on with Moose, because Moose isn't there. Now, either he's got covert or they're keeping off TV legitimately because they want to make it special. Hopefully that's it. I'm moving on. Jazz had a little moment with Tommy, and now she wants to have a match. Hardcore Justice. A title versus a you got them in my face. Title versus career match. Did I think this was coming? No. Did I think that this is going to be bad? I don't know. I'm worried that this is not going to end well for Dana Purrazzo. But then it's not going to end well for Jazz either. This could be the end for Jazz in in-ring competition, which takes a woman out of the division. Guys, see it in disrespect. They still have no women yet. If they're ever getting more women. If. Everyone keeps saying they're going to get more women. You don't know. Unless you work for Impact, you don't know. So if Jazz loses, she's done. And that means we have one less woman on the roster to be seen on TV. And it doesn't make a difference if you think she's an old ass. This is all we got. And we need more. Now you know the reason why I say Impact's creative team sucks, because they can't write. And then the people who run Impact suck because they don't got good writers. And then they got no talent because they haven't hired anybody. It's 2 and 2. Remember, it goes like 2 to tango. It's 2 and 2. You need good writing to bring in people. Because if they see your company and see your product and they think it looks like garbage, they're not going to come. And then, when they do have people coming in, if you are booking properly, if you're not willing to hire anybody, you tell me what the problem is. What the problem is. The people who run the damn place are idiots. And I say this out of respect for them. If anybody sees it, I respect you. You've been in the business for years, but your camera work sucks. Your booking sucks. And at this moment, you got no talent because I think your booking sucks. Along with your camera work sucks. But I still believe that you are a good company with good people in it, but they gotta change. Let's move on. We got Swingers Palace. Kind of goes along what happened with the Don and Kenny dealing with a little bit of Rich, because the Swinger has a 1-to-1 bet, which kind of pissed off Kenny, kind of pissed off Don. Don put down $20K. And Swinger's happy. The only person who wasn't happy was Johnny Bravo, because he's not been able to get up and take a piss because he's stuck at that chair doing nothing but deal. Swingers Palace is not bad. I mean, it does help on storylines a tiny bit. It is a nice change up a tiny bit, but they got to do something. Let's move on. I could talk about Raju and Hernandez, but I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave it out because I don't know how far they're going to go. We now had Josh Alexander and TJP versus a Madman and an Ace. Where does this lead? Tell me, where does this lead? If this is leading for the X Division, why are you pairing up Josh Alexander and TJP? Why? Wouldn't it have been easier just to have Josh and TJP face one another? Have several feud, well, not several feuds, maybe a best of 5 series to see who goes up against Ace Austin. It'll drag it out and at least give you something more to look at. Yes, we've seen a little bit of Josh going against TJP when he was working with Falaba, and he still had Ethan Page by his side. But do a best of 7 because you don't have any X Division guys. Do the best of 7. Then whoever wins that goes up against Ace. At least then you'll drag it out. And Ace could watch it, mess with each one of them, try to cause trouble. At least then it would make sense. They basically couldn't even agree to work together properly. They started fighting one another. Ace and Madman wins, but it doesn't really give anything. And that's leading into Rebellion and Hardcore Justice. What? Okay, let's move on. Brian Myers and Suicide. No Matt Cardona there. No interview for Matt Cardona. This is trying to put over Brian Myers, which makes sense. But are they going to have a match at Rebellion? Well, Brian Myers tried to address and did address the challenge from Matt Cardona. He said no, in all the words. But this has to mean something. I'm hoping they start fighting one another. Or I'm hoping that they'll move on to something else, because this has kind of been a little bit of too much of a slow burn, guys. There's a difference between having a slow burn and then a dragged out burn. There's a difference. Because this feels like it should have been done much sooner. And then they can build up into Rebellion. Because if they do this at Hardcore Justice, it's dumb. Because you got a feud right there in the making. You got two guys who've known each other since they were 17 years old and one maybe 16. They've known each other for years. They worked together in WWE. Now they're here, and instead of trying to build this into something that can mean something, it feels like they're going to rush it. Because this could have been done earlier. They could have already started their feud, and then it could have culminated in Rebellion. That's why I think it should go. And this should have been built weeks and months ahead of time. They've had time. Or at least they could try and tease it at Rebellion. That's what I'm hoping. But if it's not, and they rush this before Rebellion, you guys tell me. I'm hoping they build this into Rebellion properly. Suicide loses. You get the speech from Brian Myers is what you got. Finally, Storm's moment. I think that might be. No, Storm's respect or Storm's moment. I think that's the best. Because this is about honoring Storm. And his 1,000... He's in my face. Here's the thing, guys. You don't have Rich Swann closing the show. You don't have Kenny Omega closing the show. You don't have Dana Purrazzo. And they already stated going into Hardcore Justice, there's going to be a scramble for the women so they can do whatever the hell they want. It's like a Full Metal Mayhem match. You don't have Ace Austin close. You don't have a Dana Purrazzo close. You don't have Kenny Omega close. Finn Juice are not there. Once again, none of the champions close the show. It is about James Storm being given a match. His 1,000th match at the end of this show. Don't you think if you really want to honor the guy, you wait until Rebellion to do this match? That you try to build this up, that they don't have the match, that they could have dragged this out for a month and make this meet. Maybe I think I'll change the title to No Respect for Storm, because James Storm has been there since the beginning of TNA. He's been there the majority of the time, except when he went to NXT. He's been there for the majority of the time. And instead of honoring him at a pay-per-view, guys, they're doing this on a regular Impact that's leading into a Impact Plus show where if it couldn't be here, it couldn't be at Rebellion, wouldn't it be better to put it at Hardcore Justice, a Impact Plus show? If you're trying to mean it, make it something. Was this a good match against Eric Young? Yes, whenever you could see it, because the camera work was so bad. The camera work was not great. I don't know what it is, guys. Whoever is running the production truck has made two fatal mistakes. One, he's telling the cameramen to zoom into their faces and their bodies way too much. And that's for every wrestler. You saw the shots in the beginning of this video, this review. But then, that person, I don't care if it's a man, I don't care if it's a woman, I don't care if they've been doing this for 20 years. They are off. They don't even know when to switch anymore. Look, no one's saying doing this job is easy. And I'm not saying it is. Whoever runs the production truck gets everything. They do it right, they get praise. If they get it wrong, they get their neck slit. Because they get chewed out. And for weeks now, upon weeks, whoever's been running the production has not understood how to do the work properly. And since this is a 1,000th match for James Storm, this looked terrible. We barely saw him. Either really close up in his face, like this, or this. Either his face real close, which was really bad and blurred out in some cases, or his back, if that wasn't Eli's back. It wasn't Eli's butt. It was just bad. And it really diminished everything that James Storm stood for. Look, if you take away the camera work, some of this show was okay, but it doesn't really give you anything substantial except for Nevaeh having finally turned on Havoc, and a beatdown of Rich Swann and Willie Mack, and now a match going next week. That was a hard to kill match. This is just me. Have a good day. Have a good night. Peace.